tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in
to Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck, along with a feisty Adam Abdalla today. I don't think there's any other show in the country that will start this way. I mean, are you ready to go? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fired up. You know what?
You seem to be on edge today.
You know what? You know what? You want to know what?
What do I want to know?
It's opening day.
Okay, all right. Opening night.
Yeah.
In Major League Baseball.
Well, in some places it'll be daytime when that baseball gets hurled.
Yeah. So
you know who's throwing out the first pitch?
No, I don't.
A hand.
Who? What?
The hand from Wednesday.
From Wednesday?
Yeah, the little
like the Adams family?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, well, we can talk about that later. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. We're on until 3 Eastern. If you want to call or text us, the call or text line is 310-840-4910. Like I said, Abdalla's feisty today. He is very fired up. I think there's something in the air here in downtown Chicago. There's something. You are just on one this morning as we get started here. Bleck Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. We got to talk about this. North Carolina fires Hubert Davis after 5 seasons. And we kind of saw this coming, and we kind of talked about it throughout the week to this point. It was kind of interesting that North Carolina slept on it. They took the weekend to figure out that they needed to move on from Hubert Davis after being eliminated in the round of 64 for the second consecutive year. And you and I have talked at length about the Blue Bloods that should be in the conversation for the national championship, yet have fallen back a step. We mentioned Kentucky not getting to the Sweet 16. You know, Bill Self in Kansas not getting to the Sweet 16 either, and Bill Self kind of being vague on what he is going to do with his future. And there's possible blue blood teams that could be searching for coaches in this coaching cycle for the college basketball side of things, and North Carolina looking for a new head coach is the news from yesterday.
Yeah, and it's one of the best jobs in college basketball, obviously, the pedigree. That is North Carolina, and, you know, when this job opened up last night, it was kind of inevitable that this was going to happen, that Hubert Davis, and I was kind of surprised that North Carolina took this amount of time to make this decision, that this seemed inevitable that they were going to do this. And Bill Self kind of being a little wishy-washy about whether or not he's going to come back is going to add a little bit into this mix as well, because Kansas is also one of the most respected jobs in college basketball as well. So having 2 major programs that could be open this coaching cycle is going to be huge. I mean, we saw it in college football this year. We saw it in the NFL this year. Who would have thought this year that you would have had the Ravens and the Steelers coaching jobs open this year, that you would have had Michigan and Penn State and LSU open this year? Like, there were just so many of these high-profile programs and teams in the NFL and in college athletics open this cycle for the 25 and 26 seasons that now North Carolina is going to go, quote, outside the family and not hire from one of their graduates or one of their former players or someone that has been around the program, theoretically.
What about Vince Carter? Does he want to coach?
Does he want to?
There's someone that level of that era?
Does Michael want to?
No, Michael is not going to coach.
Does he not want to coach? Does he want to take the pay cut?
No,
does he want to get out of the racetrack and come?
He's winning too much.
He is winning too much. The dude's won 4 races.
No, I know.
It's insane.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. So Hubert Davis gone 5 seasons. He won 125 games, lost 54, but in back-to-back years did not get out of the first round of the NCAA tournament. So what next for the Tar Heels in Chapel Hill? All right, so the names that are out there right now who could be the next head coach at North Carolina. We've already gotten a report today from CBS saying that Brad Stevens is not interested. And that makes a lot of sense. He's the president of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics. That's a better gig. And I know that those in the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina, who are obsessed, you live on Tobacco Road, you love college basketball, you think that's it. That's the best. And there's people like that. One will join our show later on today. 2:20 Eastern, Josh Graham will join us. He's from that area of the country, and he loves college basketball. Here's the thing. NBA gigs are better than any college basketball job you can sell me. The NBA lifestyle is so much better than having to deal with 17 and 18-year-olds trying to recruit those players. Once you get them to campus, keeping them on campus because it's open recruitment all season long at all times in college basketball with the transfer portal and NIL and all of the different movement. So when you look at suggesting names from the NBA, you have to understand that an NBA job is better than what a college job can offer. Some of the college names, well, let me finish with this thought. Some of the college names that are out there, maybe Dusty May from Michigan, Nate Oates from Alabama, Dan Hurley, would he leave UConn to go to North Carolina? Todd Golden from Florida, he's already won a championship. Would he make the jump to North Carolina? There's a lot of names out. Tommy Lloyd, right? There are names out there in college basketball who should be interested in the job. I just told you. The NBA coaches should not be interested.
Okay.
I have one who should be.
I think you're wrong about certain jobs. I think that if you're the coach of the Washington Wizards,
the NBA lifestyle is a different lifestyle, man.
I understand that. But there are certain jobs. Like, I'm not asking you to leave and take the job at High Point, like we talked about, right? Like, you're not gonna go to a lower level. But this is North Carolina. Like, if Duke called, if Michigan State called. Like, there are these high-profile jobs, just like in college football. There are college football jobs that are better than certain NFL jobs. I could tell you that Ohio State is a better job than coaching the Arizona Cardinals. It just is. It's a better job. I don't care how much recruiting and how much NIL you have to deal with. It's just a better job. It just is. And so North Carolina is a better job than coaching the Wizards or the Nets or the Jazz. It just is. And you can say the lifestyle's different and you don't have to recruit and you don't have to manage egos and you don't have to constantly recruit your own kids every single year and manage parents and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But the name North Carolina is better than coaching certain teams. You want to say it's not better than coaching the Lakers. Obviously, it's not better than coaching the Lakers. It's not better than coaching the Celtics. That's why it's not better than being the president of basketball operations for the Celtics, which is why even suggesting Brad Stevens is ridiculous, because there's no world in which Brad Stevens is going to leave his job from the Celtics and go take a head coaching job for a college team.
You just said that NBA coaches should consider, though.
I said a few should consider. So
which side are you going?
I said a few should consider.
Okay, a few.
The
Wizards coach.
The Wizards coach, a few. And there's one in particular that I mentioned on Monday when we talked about this job possibly being available that should consider it. And his team happens to also be in the same city where you and I broadcast from every single day.
Well, right. And so what I was getting to was that NBA coaching is a different lifestyle. It's a better setup. That's the way most people would view it. And I know if you live in a college town across this country, you're going to say, what about my team? Wouldn't they want to come live in my city, my town, and be the Pied Piper of this area? No, NBA coaches don't want to do that. And they don't want to deal with the headache of constantly recruiting their own players to stay each and every day, because that's what college athletics is now. You have to be a young guy who wants to deal with that headache constantly to coach in college sports now. And that's what it is. Here's the one exception to that, and I think it's pretty obvious. It's Billy Donovan, who's coaching the Chicago Bulls. Billy Donovan's won 2 national titles when he was the head coach at Florida. He's had a lot of success in the NBA with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think he's a very good coach. Notice I didn't say he's had a lot of success with the Chicago Bulls. He hasn't. That's not his fault. If people are unaware of what's taking place right now with the Chicago Bulls, is the Chicago Bulls by name is a historic franchise that has legit credentials that should be one of the best in the NBA. They are not. They actively do not try to win. And so for Billy Donovan, if he ever wants to win again, it would make a lot of sense for Billy Donovan to leave Chicago and take the job at North Carolina. And I would understand why he would want to do that, because in Chicago, he has gotten blamed for the lack of winning for the team when the people to blame is the front office, which is Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley, who have done absolutely nothing since they were hired, and ownership, the Reinsdorfs, Jerry and Michael. Michael is Jerry's son. He's the one that runs the basketball team. Jerry still runs the baseball team for now, until Justin Ishbia takes over the Chicago White Sox. But so to look at the full scope of the conversation, I lay it out. NBA coaches shouldn't go to college. Billy Donovan should go to North Carolina, because that is going to be a better gig in the long run, because North Carolina is going to try and win basketball games. The Chicago Bulls do not try and win basketball games. They just want to win enough to get people to come to the stadium, and that's it. They don't actively try to compete at a high level in the NBA. So I think Billy Donovan should consider going to North Carolina.
I agree with you. And when we talked about this on Monday, that was the first name that I brought up, is that there's no way that Billy Donovan can be okay with what's going on. He's making a ton of money as an NBA head coach, and I understand that this is not his fault. From outsiders watching the Chicago Bulls, they can say, oh, well, fire the coach, whatever. But you're only as good as the players that you're given. Billy Donovan is a good head coach. Billy Donovan has been given awful players and has been dealt an extremely crappy hand. And if he wants to win, you're right, he should leave. But at the same time, I can also see this being a no-pressure situation where he can just continue to cash a check and live in a great city. And you said it, NBA lifestyle is just coach during practice, coach during games. You don't have to worry about recruiting. The GM and you know, the president of basketball operations, they handle all that stuff. You've got your scouts. You put in your input every once in a while on players. There is zero pressure to win in the city of Chicago. We just saw Hubert Davis get fired for not making out of the first round in back-to-back years. If Billy Donovan goes to North Carolina, the pressure is on. If he stays in Chicago, he's got no pressure whatsoever. They just depleted his roster to try to finally try and tank and get a decent draft pick. And it looks like they're not even going to be able to do that because they tanked too late, because this team doesn't even know how to tank.
All right, because they're not actively trying to win at a high level. They're trying to maintain at being mediocre.
Exactly.
And that to them is what they love. They love promoting a product that used to be good. It used to be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, it's like, when we were younger, late night TV was a thing. You know, you and I grew up and Johnny Carson was still on the air on NBC with The Tonight Show. And then Jay Leno took over. Mm-hmm. Conan had a moment. You know, Letterman was on CBS. You know, late night TV mattered when we were younger. It no longer matters. But the networks are still trying to sell a product of late night TV. Kimmel's still on. Mm-hmm. Fallon's there clapping along with all of his own jokes. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. No one's watching that.
Yeah.
But the networks are still putting it to the Chicago Bulls are that. They're serving you up Michael and the championships, and this used to be a great franchise, hoping you'll show up to see absolute garbage on the court. And people do. That's the reality. People still do that here in Chicago. People enjoy going to the United Center to see the Chicago Bulls play, even though they suck. And they have for quite some time since the Derrick Rose years.
Yeah.
So with that said, you know, Billy Donovan, if he wants to live, you're right, Abdalla. If Billy Donovan just wants to be comfortable and be in a spot where it's a great setup, sure, stay. If he wants to win, North Carolina is a hell of an opportunity.
I mean, to your point, do you know who they are fourth in attendance this year? The Bulls.
Yeah, of course they are. They always are.
They used to be. Even when they're this bad, they used to be number one in attendance. And now I'm surprised they're fourth. I was actually surprised that they were down to fourth.
But like, I don't think people, we can hammer it home enough for people around this country that they actively don't try to win.
Yeah.
And so that is where, we'll keep our eyes on it. Josh Graham will join us at 2:20 this afternoon Eastern time to talk about the Hubert Davis firing and North Carolina search. And we'll keep our eyes on it. And if any news breaks, we'll bring it to you here on Bleck Abdalla on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Start off the show talking about it. It's opening night in Major League Baseball. The game tonight is on Netflix. It's the Yankees at the Giants, 8:05 Eastern this evening. The Yankees last year went 94-68. They lost in the ALDS to Toronto in 7 games. And the Blue Jays went on to the World Series and lost in 7 games to the Dodgers. And the Giants last year went 81-81. So baseball is back. Opening night tonight, opening day tomorrow in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, can't wait. It means that summer is finally here. You get to watch it on Netflix, which seems kind of weird that you're opening the season on Netflix. But that's the new era of baseball and streaming that we're living in. You start the season on Netflix, and it's also weird that it's the Yankees and the Giants.
It's not the Dodgers.
It's not the Dodgers.
You're 2-time you're champions.
Yeah.
You're back-to-back champions.
We're not raising a banner. We're not handing out rings. We're not doing any of that tonight. It's 2 teams that didn't make it. So it's all kind of weird tonight for the start of baseball for this season, where the Dodgers look to three-peat and before, the whole lockout thing happens.
Do you think it's good for baseball that the Dodgers have a chance to win 3 in a row? They are the favorites. They're the team that goes out. They signed Kyle Tucker in the offseason as if they needed more ammunition with a bat in the lineup. I mean, it's crazy how good the Dodgers are, and then they add more heading into the season. So two back-to-back champs going for their 3rd. They're the favorite once again. I actually kind of like it. I like knowing that there's a best team in baseball to shoot for.
I do, because you say that there's a best team in baseball. I like knowing that there's a villain. Like we've said this in the NBA. There's the Chiefs in the NFL. There has to be a bad guy. And unless you're a Dodgers fan, everyone seems to be rooting against the Dodgers because their team isn't spending like the Dodgers are. And that's seems to be what people forget, is that also this isn't the first time someone will be going for a three-peat. Like the Yankees did this in the 90s. The Yankees three-peated in the 90s.
It's been a long time, though.
It has been, but this isn't like the first time someone has just spent a lot of money and gone for a three-peat. This has been done before. And back then, the evil empire was the Yankees, and now it's the Dodgers. And so it's good. Dynasties are good for sports. It means the ratings will be big because people like to watch dynasties, and most importantly, people like to root against them. And so people will be tuning in to root against the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's a fun conversation because I agree that I think, and if you want to join us, and you can text us your thoughts at 310-840-4910, do you think the Dodgers are a good thing for baseball? Is this good for baseball? Let's ask Russell Dorsey. He covers Major League Baseball for Yahoo Sports. He'll join us next.
Stories that matter from the brand you trust. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
We were joking to start the show that we finally made it. The baseball season's here. It's winter's officially over. Once baseball is here, you can say that winter's over. Now, there's a lot of us that live in the north, in the Midwest, where we'll still get some snow, but mentally, summer is on the way. It's almost here. Opening night tonight, Yankees and Giants, 8:05 Eastern. Should be a good matchup.
Once we get to first pitch, the winter jacket goes into the closet. Even if it gets below freezing, I will just have to tough it out because the winter jacket goes in the closet out of principle.
Right.
I refuse to wear it. I refuse it.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We were talking about the Dodgers winning back-to-back World Series championships and whether or not it's a good thing for baseball that they're the favorite once again, that there's a villain, there's a team that we can all point at and say they're the best team in baseball, and everyone can set their sights on taking down the Los Angeles Dodgers. Russell Dorsey covers Major League Baseball for Yahoo Sports. You can also see him on the MLB Network and Apple TV. And now he joins Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Russell, do you think it's good for baseball that the Dodgers are now trying to win their third championship in a row?
What's going on, guys? I
What's up,
do
man?
think it is from the standpoint of I'm a big sports fan like you guys both are, and I do think sports is better when there's a villain. I do think there are, unlike other teams that have been villains in the past, there are likable individuals on that Dodgers team. And for me, they're an interesting team to cover from a standpoint of with as many superstars as they have. They are very much a go with the flow kind of team. Like there's not a guy that's like, no, it's me and then it's everybody else. It seems like when guys sign there, it's like, okay, the whole is better than the sum of the parts. And for us to get where we want to go, I have to take the ego part out of it. But they are extremely talented. Do I think it's the best thing for baseball? I think that's where some of the debate can be. I think it has created a lot of conversation, and there will be a lot of intrigue and things to talk about ahead of the collective bargaining agreement expiring on December 1st. Now, do I think if the Toronto Blue Jays defeat the Dodgers last year in the World Series in Game 7 like they probably should have, do I think it is people feel differently? I do, because I think that people would have said, okay, somebody was able to cut off the head of the snake. But now you look at it and say, will this team really win 3 consecutive World Series titles? And I think that's what probably scares some baseball fans out there.
Do you think that we should, I'm not saying that people don't appreciate Shohei Ohtani, but unless you're basically a bitter rival of the LA Dodgers, that people aren't appreciating Shohei Ohtani as much as we should, that we're watching arguably the best baseball player of all time, and that we should be just marveling at what we see every single day, day in and day out?
Man, I think so sometimes. Like, I really do. I have seen that guy do insane things, and I don't even live in LA and cover the Dodgers exclusively. Just in my times covering him, he has hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium completely. I've seen him hit 3 homers in a game and punch out 10 to punch the Dodgers ticket to the World Series. He's hit a ball 120 off the bat. And then he also had a 5-for-5 game to go 50-50. Like, when there's a moment to rise to the occasion, he just knows how to do it. And I think that's something that we appreciate about superstars is when the lights are the brightest, they show up. And I think the thing with Shohei, ever since he's kind of taken the mantle as the best player in the world, when those moments have happened and the benefit of him going from the Angels to the Dodgers, where he's going to be under the bright lights all the time in the big moments, in the postseason, in the World Series, is we've seen that out of him. And so I don't think we always appreciate how good that guy is. Like, what he's able to do is insane. Like, he can go out there, hit 50 homers. Yesterday in his last spring training start, in 4 innings, he punched out 11. Like, that guy is insane. And he's one of those players, like, if you wanted to create a guy on MLB The Show, you would create Shohei Ohtani. That's how good he is.
Russell Dorsey hanging out with Bleck Abdalla, talking baseball here on Westwood One Sports. Yeah, I mean, the thing on Shohei is it does feel like, Russell, because we all have an opinion with social media now, we want to say everything's the greatest. This is the best game, the best finish. This is the best play. And to Adam's point, it feels like Shohei Ohtani is the one athlete that when we look at the way we talk about said situation or the play, it's like, I don't know if we're selling hard enough, how we're seeing an all-time great, and we're seeing, for comparison to basketball, Michael Jordan level stuff in real time. And so I think that's what is a lot of fun about following along with the Dodgers and following along with Shohei Ohtani. I do want to ask you about this, Russell, is tonight you have the Yankees and the Giants opening the season on Netflix. In the AL East, you mentioned the Blue Jays losing 7 games to the Dodgers in the World Series. You got the Red Sox make the playoffs as well, and the Yankees get to the ALDS and lose to the Blue Jays, and they play tonight. How do you view the AL East as far as the way it will finish up this season?
It's going to be a tough one because I look at the Toronto Blue Jays and they, to me, were the best team in Major League Baseball last year, and they didn't win the World Series. Like it went down to 7 games and extra innings in the 7th game for the Dodgers to beat them, and I just think that goes to show you how good they were. And they improved this offseason, right? They added starting pitching, they added Cody Ponce, they added Dylan Cease, they added Kazuma Akamoto, free agent from Japan, and you still have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is one of the best players in Major League Baseball. They are extremely talented, and I think it's going to be a challenge for the New York Yankees, who didn't really do much this offseason. They kind of just said, all right, we're going to run it back, and if we're healthy, we should be right there in the mix in the American League. But I don't know if that's going to be enough if the Blue Jays play the way I think the Blue Jays are going to play this year. And you also have the Boston Red Sox that are a talented team. You also have the Baltimore Orioles who said, you know what, we're going to add Pete Alonso to this thing. We're going to add a little bit of starting pitching. And with the young talent that we have after disappointing for a couple of years, that's going to be a team that's not going to be an easy out throughout the season either. So it's going to be a bloodbath in the AL East. But if I had to pick a team right now, I would say I'm still going with the Toronto Blue Jays to be that team.
Russell, the biggest change to the baseball season this year is going to be the ABS system for fans that didn't watch during spring training. How much of an adjustment is that going to be for fans watching the game? And more importantly, how much of a change is it going to be for pitchers, for hitters, and for managers who don't really have control over when their players can use this system during games?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of conversations about, hey, man, like we only have a certain amount of these. Let's kind of be smart about how we utilize these and be absolutely sure. And I think that's going to be a fun part about the first couple months of the season is seeing the guys who have a lot of success with it and the guys who don't. And it's like, all right, we're going to give you the stop sign using the challenge system. But I think it's probably going to be a bigger adjustment for the viewing audience of baseball, right? Because it's different. It's like, all right, guy taps his helmet or catcher taps his helmet, pitcher taps his cap and says they want a review. It's going to be really quick. It's really simple. People have seen throughout spring training. But I would compare it to what the replay system in tennis has been, right? Where, you ask for the review, it comes up real quick on the screen, and then boom, we're back in action. I think it's something that will be good for getting calls correct. That adds also a new little wrinkle to the game.
Russell Dorsey talking baseball with Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. A team that I watched last year that was a lot of fun to kind of follow throughout the season was the Seattle Mariners. What do you see from the Mariners heading into this year? Yeah,
like they are a team that was also right there, just a couple of, one game away from getting to the World Series for the first time in their franchise's history. And you had the phenomenal year out of Cal Raleigh, hitting 60 homers, most homers ever by a catcher, most homers ever by a switch hitter. They bring in Josh Naylor. He fit in with that group there and signed a long-term deal in the offseason to keep him in Seattle. You have Julio Rodriguez, who is one of the budding young stars in Major League Baseball. And then they're starting pitching, which by many is the best collective rotation still in Major League Baseball when they're firing on all cylinders. That's a really good team. And that should also still be a really good team here in 2026. I think the thing when you have special seasons like the one that they had, and you guys know this as well, sometimes, every team isn't the same. And sometimes the mojo that you had in one year doesn't necessarily carry over to the next. But talent usually translates. So they are still extremely talented. I think the one thing with the Mariners is that you didn't have to, for the first time in almost a decade, deal with the Houston Astros as a thorn in your side in the AL West. And if the Astros are healthy, it's going to be a fight there in the AL West, but it should be still really exciting to see those two teams duke it out for seeing who the best team in that division is going to be.
Baseball is in a great place right now. We talked about how awesome Shohei Ohtani is.
Oh, no.
Coming off the World Baseball Classic, how awesome that was for the game. A ton of great young players that are representing the game well. All these great young teams.
People are watching. Ratings are up.
There's all these different places. There's like 10 different places, and yet there's this Michael Myers just stalking you from behind.
From Halloween.
From Halloween.
Yes.
And at the end of the year, you mentioned it, this collective bargaining agreement that is a lot of people think that their worst case scenario, there just might not be baseball next year. What do you think is going to happen? Is that actually on the table? Do you think there might actually not be a season next year?
So you guys are 100% correct in terms of where baseball sits. I actually talked about it on my podcast yesterday because, as somebody who covers baseball and sees, the star power, the stories that I get to tell, the guys that I get to talk to, the viewership is up. People going to the ballpark is up. Like baseball honestly is in the best place it's been in 20 years, right? You have the guy who might be the greatest player in the history of the sport in Shohei Ohtani in his prime, playing for one of the sport's biggest teams, and is a marketing darling. He's also, Japanese, and so you get the global appeal of like what Ken Griffey Jr. was, and now you add the global appeal to it. Like that's fantastic. And then on the other coast, you have Aaron Judge, who's turned himself into one of the best right-handed hitters we've seen since Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols. So for all those reasons, baseball is in an amazing spot. I think the downside is that there are a lot of things that have to be hashed out between the league ownership and then the Players Association. And it's one of those things where if you just sit down and think about it, you're like, man, there are too many good things to happen for there not to be baseball. However, I think I understand how these things go, and both sides feel like they gave up a lot after the last collective bargaining agreement was agreed upon in 2022. And I think both sides have kind of been prepared for the last couple of years. And from people I've talked to on both sides, they're like, nah, everybody's preparing for a fight. I think when you prepare for a fight, that's where that fear and that dark cloud looming over the season comes from. And I think it's fair. And I think people should be concerned. And look, guys, I'm a guy that I make a living in baseball. If there's no baseball, that's not great for me. That's not great for a lot of people in the industry. Do I think there's going to be zero baseball next season? No. I think there will be baseball next season. I guess the billion-dollar question is how much baseball do we get in 2027?
Yeah, right. Like the question, Russell, is the question is, will we have opening day at this time next year? Or will opening day be in June? You know what I'm saying? Is that what we're going to see?
If I had to take an educated guess on a day, as of right now, as we sit, I wouldn't say we're going to have a normal opening day next year that starts on, March 27, 28, 2027. I would imagine it probably gets pushed back just to give yourself some time because you're still going to need, a spring training of sorts to get guys prepared, to get pitchers prepared, etc. If I'm going to say between April 15th and May 1st next year is opening day.
All right, that's not okay.
That's not
If I just had to look into my
that's-
crystal ball and say, all right, there's going to be negotiations that are had. There's going to be a work stoppage, but just how long does that go? I'm going to say we have I can't wait for opening day. Baseball's back tweets on May 1st, 2027.
And honestly, being in Chicago, can we negotiate that being regular opening day? Just because
For the weather?
Can we not have March
Listen,
opening
there's
days?
probably some people that are going to say, hey,
play in the
the
South.
season should be shorter anyway. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm kind of on board with this as a normal thing.
Thank you, Russell. Check out Russell's podcast on YouTube at Russell Dorsey. You can follow Russ Dorsey right there on YouTube. The new podcast is up. Thank you, Russell. Enjoy opening night and opening day tomorrow. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys as well.
There is Russell Dorsey, Yahoo Sports, covers Major League Baseball. You can also see him on the MLB Network, Apple TV, and he's got his new podcast on YouTube, Russ Dorsey. You can follow him there. The one thing that I always think about when we talk about Major League Baseball and the lockout looming over the season is that during COVID, it didn't look like there was going to be baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then the owners realized that when you don't play baseball, you don't make money.
Nope.
And halfway through, the owners got desperate. And then they threw together, what was it, a 60-game schedule?
Yeah.
To kind of cobble together some sort of income of individuals going to the ballparks and then something you can put on TV to get TV money. So I find it hard to believe that there just won't be any baseball next season. But I do agree with Russell. It's not going to take, we're not going to have our opening night show on March 25th next season like we are today.
No, and he's right. You can't just be like, okay, and baseball. Like there has to be
there's a buildup.
There has to be ramp up, and pitchers have to get going, and players have to get going, and all this kind of stuff. So it takes some time. Like if you don't agree to something until today, this could be another 3-4 weeks until you actually have the first game. So this needs, I just don't understand how, if you know this is my whole thing. You know this is ending December 31st. Start now. Negotiate now. Like, what are we waiting for?
No, that's not how this stuff works.
What are you waiting for? There's a deadline.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Are the Los Angeles Lakers a real title contender? We talk about that next.
Every team, every player, every story, every angle. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
The Lakers lost to the Pistons on Monday night. Tonight, they face off against the Pacers. They're on the road at Indiana. It's a 7 o'clock Eastern tip for that contest. And Abdalla, when we look at the Lakers situation, right, they won a bunch of games before they took the L against the Pistons on Monday night. But the Lakers have been hot. Luka, LeBron, everything seems to be working. And the question I think a lot of people are looking at with this team, now third in the West, can they win an NBA championship this season? Unfortunately, when I look at the landscape of the West and I look at the NBA, even though the Lakers have been great in March, they're not going to win a championship this season. It's San Antonio and Oklahoma City are the two teams that will battle for the finals, and one of those two teams will win the NBA title. It'll be San Antonio or Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. That's it. I get it. Boston has an argument. Detroit could say something. There's a whole bunch of different teams in the East that want to be a part of the conversation. Cleveland last night, they beat the Magic on national TV.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Spurs or the Thunder. That's it.
I think that the Lakers could get out of the first round, their first round matchup, but I think this comes down to something that we see every year in the playoffs. It's not always about your superstar player, right? It's not going to be about Luka every single night. Luka's been playing amazing. He's put up at least 30 points in 10 straight games. He's had like a 50-point game in there. He's had an amazing run, right? So what's going to happen in a 7-game series when Luka has an off night? Can LeBron carry a game still?
I think he can.
Okay.
He can't do it for 7.
Can he carry 2 games in a 7-game series if Luka goes into a 2-game slump?
Well,
there's always a game where it has to be about the others.
It's defense,
right?
though.
That too.
That's the thing with Luka is his
too.
defensive effort.
But you know that there's always a game where the role players, and I'm not calling LeBron a role player in this stage in his career.
Sounds like you are.
By any means. But no, but the point is that.
Sounds like you're calling LeBron James a role player.
Well, it's always sometimes it's about the others during these playoff series. And there's occasionally a game where the others or someone else that's not your superstar needs to have a game. And I don't know if there's other people on the Lakers besides LeBron and Luka that can have a game. I think they can, like I said, I think they can get out of the first round, depending on the matchup. But again, if they're not getting out of I don't think they're getting out of the second round, and they're definitely not getting, if they make it somehow to a Western Conference Finals, they're not beating the Spurs or the Thunder. They're just not.
There's a couple of good matchups tonight on national television. ESPN has the Hawks at the Pistons. That's a good game. And then the late game would be the Rockets at the Timberwolves. Outside of that, there's also a matchup tonight that may be your finals preview. I heard Costos talking about this earlier today on You Better You Bet. The Thunder are on the road at the Celtics tonight. If you got League Pass, you get a chance to check that out. That's going to be a hell of a game. Thunder, Celtics, and I'll have my eyes on that game this evening because I think it'll be really good. But yes, the Lakers in this situation, looking at the Western Conference, I think it's Thunder. I think it's Spurs. In the East, there's a bunch of different ways I think the Eastern Conference can kind of play out, but I don't think anyone who wins the East has a chance against either the Spurs or the Thunder to win the NBA title. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Abdalla, I'm not great at shopping. I'm actually really bad at shopping. When I purchase something, I use it until it's like the end of life. Like I will wear something until there's a hole in it. I will wear shoes until they're way past the point that someone should be wearing a pair of shoes, right? Like you always have fresh kicks.
Yeah.
It's a compliment towards you. You always have fresh shoes working.
Thank you. I like a pair of J's, if you will,
yes.
not LeBron's.
But you keep them very fresh.
Well, yeah.
Like
Listen.
I wear my shoes.
Yeah.
Like when I get a pair of shoes, they're nice for a couple months, and then they turn into dirty.
Listen, you got to keep the rotation hot. You know what I mean?
I'm bad at it.
Well,
I'm really bad at it. So
I'm not surprised.
usually, like I said, I wear things until they're done, and I purchase a new hat. I needed a new hat because I have a bunch of hats, and they're all like the sun has changed the color in them, so they're like, instead of being a black hat,
They're like that weird brownish
that
gray.
brown,
Yeah.
you've worn it too many times.
Yeah.
And so I purchased a new hat online, right?
A cap.
And this is why I'm bad at this stuff, because I get it. It's at your fingertips. You can order whatever you want at all times, right? Except you can't. I like touching and having a tangible look on something when I purchase it.
You want to try it on.
So the hat gets to my house that I bought online from a sporting goods spot. And the hat it was my fault. There was an option to go with the small medium option or the medium large option.
Yeah.
And I went small medium, too small.
Oh.
Too small of a hat.
Too small.
Too small of a hat. So I need to return it.
Yeah.
Right? And there is a sporting goods store of the online purchase that I made that's not too far from the house.
Richards?
Yeah, well, yes. A Richard has a sporting goods store.
Richards? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good old Richards.
Yes, Richard's Sporting Goods. Yes. Some say he's Dick for short.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, all right. I wasn't gonna go that far.
So I go in and I take the hat with, and I find they had the hat in stock.
Yeah.
And so I get the right size hat.
Yeah.
I purchase in and I exchange it, right?
Easy.
It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
But this is why I suck at these situations, right? Because
Yeah.
it was an extra trip, even though it was an online purchase. So I'm driving home. I'm like, I'm pumped. This is big. I bought something.
Got a new hat feeling.
And I exchanged it.
New hat
right?
feeling.
So I had the extra layer of having to do work to get the thing that I purchased, which already annoyed me.
Yeah.
My fault, though. It was my fault.
Of course.
I walk in the hat, and Autumn, my wife, goes, so you got your little hat there?
You got your little...
Right? Like, she's mocking me because I finally purchased something for myself. And I go, yeah. And I go to put it on, and guess what's on there?
Small, medium.
No, the security thing.
Security. Oh, yeah.
The security thing is on the hat. And I look at her, I go, this is why I don't buy anything. Because it arrived, and I had to exchange it, and I take the trip, and I exchange it, and they don't take the security tag off of it. So now a second trip.
How'd you get through the thing?
It didn't go off.
Well, that's
Seriously, it didn't go off.
That's on Richard right there.
So she's looking at it. She's like, look, online videos, use a garbage bag and wrap it around and pull it
Yeah,
apart. I
you
go,
can-
yeah, I'm going to rip the hat.
Yeah, you're gonna rip the hat.
I don't want to do that.
So you had to go back.
So I had to drive back. The store's closing. There's a guy that walked out. I weaseled my way into the store after it closed. The lady at the desk was like, the moment she saw me, she goes, oh, no. I go, yeah. So like, she apologized, which it wasn't a big deal. It was a 10-minute drive.
It's your fault, though.
But that's why I don't buy anything, ever.
Nope.
That's why I don't do it.
Can't do it.
Because there's always more work to it. There's rule changes in the NFL. What's going to change with the kickoff? We'll talk about that next here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM Channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla, broadcasting live from downtown Chicago. We're on the air until 3 Eastern. You can join us on our call or text line at 310-840-4910. Abdalla, yesterday in the NFL, they announced some new rules for this upcoming season. And I think a few of them make a lot of sense, most notably the rules around the kickoff and the onside kick. That's the latest that we saw from yesterday. The NFL Competition Committee is there are rules that were submitted, and they will be voted on for next week's league meeting in the NFL on how they may change some of these rules with all the kickoffs and all the different aspects of the NFL game.
Yeah, some of them do make sense. I think some of them are also like noteworthy changes, and I think some of them are should worry some fans. I think some of these rule changes should worry some fans too. There's a proposal here about replay officials because we are potentially in a work stoppage for NFL officials again. And remember the replacement refs, the year with the replacement refs?
It didn't go well.
It did not go well.
No, it didn't go well.
And I don't think NFL fans are aware that we are on the cusp of having replacement refs again. And one of the rule changes is that the eye in the sky can look at if there's an egregious call by a replacement ref. The eye in the sky can be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Bad call. Bad call. Bad call, replacement ref.
Well, okay. That may help, though.
Dude, just work something out. Like, come on. This is like the whole MLB thing. Just work something out so you don't mess up my NFL games.
Well, okay, I understand that aspect. But if the officials are having their own labor dispute, so there's a lockout, and the paid full-time officials are not available, and you have individuals who are coming from college football or high school level, and they're not used to all of the different rules and the speed of the NFL game, maybe some assistance. You're telling me when you watch an NFL game, like there's never been a situation where you wish there was an eye in the sky to buzz down to the lead official to say, hey, that you guys didn't get this right?
I'm not saying that I just don't think this should be
They should have that full time.
Of course they should. Of course they should. But this is just, you think an NFL game is long now. Just wait.
Well, of course. You got to get it right. That's first, though.
Of course.
The second aspect is get it right with a, do it where you're not disrupting the flow of the game.
We all remember the Fail Mary, Packers and Seahawks. With the replacement refs?
Yeah, that was bad.
No, not for some. Profitable night for me. That's why I remember it.
Yes, right. Okay.
I came away on the winning end of that one. Thank you, replacement refs. Because I was on the winning end of that call. Everybody was losing their mind because they got robbed. I'm like, replacement refs aren't so bad for me on this one.
Okay, so this is from Adam Schefter yesterday. The playing rule proposal submitted by the NFL Competition Committee for consideration by clubs for next week's league meeting. Number one that's on the docket would be to permit the kicking team to declare an onside kick at any point during a game. At any point, you can declare an onside kick. First of all, I'm okay with this. If you want to pull an onside kick in the first quarter, by all means, go for it. That's on you.
You shouldn't have to declare in the first place.
You shouldn't have to declare.
Why are we doing this?
Why do you have to say before it happens? It's stupid.
Guys,
we are going to try this maneuver.
What's next? Are you going to have to say when you do a trick play? Guys, excuse me, Statue of Liberty coming. Just want to let everybody know. Reverse is coming. Just want to let everybody know. Flea flicker is coming.
You know what? It just popped into my head when we both said, hello, hey, everybody. You know, when we both did that. Do you know what situation in a movie that just popped into my head?
Huh.
Okay. In Independence Day, when Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith are waiting they're waving at hey, before they blow up the alien ship.
You guys are screwed.
Hey, hi, you see us?
Hey.
And then they zoom out of the alien ship and it explodes and they save the day.
Yeah.
That's what I just thought of.
That's what's going to be. Hey, we're about to run a flea flicker. You're screwed.
The next rule that is up for proposal, eliminating the kicking team's incentive to intentionally kick the ball out of bounds when kicking off from the 50-yard line. Now, what is that for? Well, smart teams last season realized when there was a penalty on the play before a touchdown and you move the ball up, you could then kick the ball out of bounds without a penalty. So they're going to change that loophole in the rule, which would, for the teams that figured it out, it was a great benefit to take advantage of field position.
Yes.
So that they're going to try and close that loophole that was there based on the new kickoff rules. They will,
smart, I guess.
They will modify the kickoff alignment requirements for the receiving team in the setup zone, which is, I'm guessing, to combat the onside kicks, right? Like you can change how you set up in the zone.
Sure.
Is there anything else that you saw in the other item that I did notice that I think is of note is that they are not proposing this time around at the league meetings next week to eliminate the tush push.
Yeah, because they figured out how to stop it. And it was all just nothing because y'all were mad that the Eagles were better at it than you were. That's it. That's all it was. And now teams have figured out, okay, well, maybe they're not as good at it anymore, or maybe we just don't care. And that's all it was. Everybody tried to, and then they got bored of it. It couldn't pass, and they're just like, okay, whatever. Don't care. It doesn't matter. And then, of course, the rule from that we talked about last week that the Browns are going to propose that you can trade draft picks 5 years into the future instead of 3. All right. If that's what you want to do, Browns.
That's what you have there for the Cleveland Browns? I think it's a stupid idea, too.
No, I hope it passes. I hope it passes.
Well,
I think every team should vote yes.
If it's your team, you don't want to do it.
Yeah, but let them do it.
But let other teams give you first-round picks in the future.
Give me all your picks.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. If you want to talk some football, you can call or text us at 310-840-4910. What do you think of the new rule changes in the NFL? I think the kickoff situation, I get it. They've changed it to a point where now kickoffs are taking place, but it's not what it used to be. It is fun to turn on a college football game and still see the old style of kickoff. And I get that for the actual kickoff, having the players at a different spot and you start from a stopped position to then get the play started. I get that. That all kind of works for the NFL. But I hate what they've done with the onside kick. The onside kick and eliminating essentially and having to declare and then having it stuck the way it is, it makes it virtually impossible if you're down multiple scores under 2 minutes to come back in a game.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult because the odds on recovering one of these newfangled kickoff rules with the onside kick, it's very low.
Well, it also used to be gamesmanship because what you would do is you would line up for an onside kick. The other team might not be ready. They'd have to call a timeout. They would burn a timeout. Now, because you have to declare, the other team doesn't have to burn a timeout. Like, that was part of the strategy. You might not even want to do an onside kick, but because you lined up for it, the other team would have to burn a timeout, and then they wouldn't be able to have that timeout later in the game. And you would just do it for that reason. Now, because you have to say, hey, we're going to do an onside kick, they're like, okay, well, now we line up for an onside kick. And no one's burning timeouts. Like, that, to me, was part of the strategy of it. And then you do the onside kick. Obviously, the Saints did it. And Sean Payton came out and did it in the Super Bowl. And, that's huge. Like, that's how you do it. So, to me, it's completely takes away from the gamesmanship in the NFL.
Yeah, it
does.
The
element of surprise.
It really does.
And even if you're down multiple, I get it that now you can do it whenever you want to. And before you could just do it later in the game. And now the ability to do it whenever you want to is fine. But if you start the second half, down multiple scores, why can't you just go for it whenever you want to? And now you can, but you shouldn't have to declare. You shouldn't have to say, hey, other team, we're going to do an onside kick just so you know. So put out your best here because that's what we're going to do. It's just ridiculous.
It's Bleck Abdalla talking some football with you here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Tua Tagovailoa, he signed with the Atlanta Falcons for a 1-year deal, and he will battle for the quarterback position for the Falcons with Michael Penix this upcoming season. You know, with Tua and his struggles in Miami, I think Tua is set to be just a great backup for his career. Like, I don't ever see, and it's very disappointing because I thought Tua Tagovailoa was going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, especially with what we saw in college at Alabama. Mm-hmm. The kid was special at Alabama. It just really has never materialized. Obviously, some of that had to do with the concussions and the play around him, but it just never seemed to click. And now he's in a new situation where he's going to battle for the starting gig, and the health is in question with Michael Penix as well. And so the Falcons, Kevin Stefanski is the new head coach, has two quarterbacks, and Tua being the one who's now looking to kind of revamp his image as an NFL quarterback.
I could see Tua winning this job because if Kevin Stefanski, this division, to me, is wide open. You've got a chance here to go in as Kevin Stefanski is a new head coach. I don't think he doesn't have allegiance to Michael Penix. What does he care? He didn't draft him, and he's coming in injured. Obviously, he was hurt last year. So this division, I know the Panthers made the playoffs. The Bucks are there, and they're a strong team. And the Saints were bottom last year, and Tyler Shuck is coming on and played well towards the end of the season last year. But this division is wide open. You had 3 teams finish with 8 wins, all lined up there. One of them backed into the playoffs. This whole thing, if Tua separates himself in training camp in the beginning of the season, I don't see why Tua can't win this job and still be successful. I think if he does, I don't think they're going to. If you had to make me pick a team today, I would say that the Panthers, their defense has improved. I would still say the best quarterback in the division is still Baker Mayfield by far. So I would probably still pick the Bucks just based off of that. But I think it's still a coin flip as to who could still win this division. 9 wins, 8 wins could still win this division. I'm not counting out Tua and the Falcons from winning this division. I still think the Saints might be a couple years away. But I don't think Stefanski has allegiances to anybody on this roster as far as quarterbacks go. And if Tua separates himself, I don't see why he won't be the starter.
Tua's best season was 2023. He threw for 4,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He's been a pro for 6 seasons. You want to feel old. Tua Tagovailoa has been in the NFL for 6 full seasons. He spoke yesterday to the media. This is what Tua had to say about needing to play better.
If you're looking at last year, my play wasn't up to the standard of the way I've been playing football the past 3 years since the new contract. So just got to play better football. That's what that really means. There's no other way to sugarcoat that or go around that.
Hey, it's the harsh reality of the NFL, right? Top pick, signs a new contract. You got to play better football, or else you're going to be with a new team. That was Tua Tagovailoa speaking to the media yesterday.
And he's not wrong. And he's got a chance to prove himself. And look, if he plays well this year, he could earn a starting job with the Falcons for a while, or he could find his way on another team in 2027. But if he plays well during training camp and starts the season as QB1 for the Falcons, I don't see why he wouldn't be the starter moving forward if they have a chance to win this division.
It's Bleck Abdalla, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Yeah, I see what you're saying, especially in the NFC South. Like the Falcons are a team that should be in contention to go to the playoffs. New head coach bump with Stefanski. You know, you and I went back and forth in the month of January talking about all of the different head coaching candidates and where they rank. And we both lean towards the side of thinking Stefanski was not the problem in Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns are the problem with the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think Stefanski should have success with the Falcons. They also have a lot of skilled players. And I think that that's a team who missed out on the playoffs that has a chance to make the playoffs in year one with a new head coach. And I think there's a couple of those scenarios around the NFL as we kind of sit here and we're about just a month shy of the NFL draft that's going to take place in the end of April.
Every team in the NFC South has a win total of 7.5. The Bucs are 8.5. So like they're not predicting any sort of separation here for these teams. It's completely up for grabs right now. And if you're looking at odds to win this division on DraftKings right now, obviously the Bucs are the favorite right now to win the NFC South. The Saints are actually second at plus 290. The Panthers are third at plus 320. The Falcons are fourth at plus 425. So not a huge separation either there between the four teams. I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on the Falcons at plus 425 just because the odds are there. And everybody's at 7.5 wins. The Bucs are at 8.5. That's not, I think anybody could win this division.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. You can call or text us at 310-840-4910. Hubert Davis is out at North Carolina. Who do we think should take the gig next for the Tar Heels? We'll tell you about that next. DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. The tournament is unexpected. Rewards are guaranteed.
DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards in the market with DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. You're not betting what might happen. You're betting on what's happening.
New to DraftKings, just bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code B&A. That's code B&A for Bleck and Abdalla. And turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bonus bets are non-cash credits that apply 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer ends April 5th, 2026.
Imagine a sports platform that talks with you, not at you. Your stories, your opinions, your one destination. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
The big news yesterday out of the college basketball world, North Carolina fires Hubert Davis. They said that there was a parting of the ways in their official statement, but Hubert Davis, or sources around Hubert Davis, made it be known to ESPN and Reese Davis that that Hubert was fired.
Yeah, I broke up with her, bro. Sure you did.
Well, it's also like if
Sure
you
you
connect the way that ESPN reported it was like sources close to Davis tell Reese Davis, and it's like, oh yeah, because you guys all work together on the desk for College Game Day.
Yeah.
Like it's obviously that Hubert Davis told Reese Davis,
will
that
be
he
on the
wants
desk.
it to be known that he was fired. He wanted to be back.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
So that's a situation in North Carolina as they look for their new head coach. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. It's now time for Stock Watch. Raj is off this week on vacation. Stu Kovacs is filling in live from New Jersey. What's up, Stu?
How we doing, guys? All right.
We're good, man.
We were talking about Hubert Davis in North Carolina as he is out. Well, Bulls head coach Billy Donovan, he seems to be a name that is being considered. Are you buying or selling stock in Donovan being the next Tar Heels head coach?
I'm going to buy the stock because I think it would make a lot of sense for Billy Donovan, but I think it ends up going to one of the coaches who is already coaching college basketball, like Todd Golden. I think jumping from Florida to UNC makes a lot of sense. So even though I'll buy the stock of Billy Donovan and I think he should do it, I think it ends up being one of these guys who's currently coaching in college basketball.
Okay, I'm going to buy it. I've got two selfish reasons. Okay. One, I don't want Nate Oates to go there, the head coach of my Alabama Crimson Tide, because I like Nate Oates.
Is there a squad?
I like Nate Oates. Two, I want Billy Donovan to leave the Chicago Bulls. Not because I don't like Billy Donovan. I like Billy Donovan.
You like him,
I like Billy Donovan.
but you want him out.
I want him out because I want this job to be exposed for what it is. I want this job to be a job that nobody wants. I want this job to be a search, and they're like, well, nobody wants this job. You know, like I want this to be like, I'm taking myself out of the running type of thing because they're going nowhere. And I want this job to be criticized in the national media. And I want the Bulls
you are the
to
national
be
media.
exposed. Yeah, exactly.
Criticize them. Go ahead.
I am. They're a poorly run organization, and they get a pass for everything. And Arturas Karnisovas is going to get to hire a head coach, and he's probably going to fire GM Mark Eversley and get to hire another GM who doesn't do anything because AK runs the show, and he's going to get to hire another head coach who's just going to do nothing, and they're going to draft bad players. They're going to continue being in the middle of NBA purgatory and doing nothing. And this city deserves better. It's the Chicago frickin' Bulls, for God's sake. It's where Michael Jordan played. Come on. And Billy Donovan deserves better. He does. Go take the North Carolina job. You deserve better. So it's like the Billy Madison where he's shaking the kid's face. He's like, don't say that. Like Billy Madison, like he deserves, like, get out of here. Like he needs to leave and go do better for yourself and your family. So I think, yeah, I want him to leave, but for better reasons.
Can I sell you on something? Can you believe that Arturas Karnisovas, since you're the national media now,
Yes.
and you want to
yeah.
blast the Bulls,
I do.
rightfully so. He's been the head of basketball operations for the Chicago Bulls for 6 seasons.
Well, you know what?
His record in charge, the Bulls have won 224 games. They've lost 247 games.
Yeah.
They are 11 games under 500 since Art Carney has been the guy for the Chicago Bulls.
Chris, for a long time, the national media wasn't allowed to blast the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, that's funny. Should we do that here?
I don't think we have the
Stu, are you aware?
I don't think we have the space.
So are you
There's
aware
a clock
of,
here. I don't think we have the space to do that.
Karnisovas, how he got the gig in Chicago? Essentially, Woj was the one that was really pushing him. And I think the Reinsdorfs believed in someone that was pushing someone who was maybe a source at one time, maybe a frequent podcast guest back in the day for good old Woj. And Karnisovas was his guy. How are things going for the
Bonnies?
Yeah, for the Bonnies.
For
and
the
Woj.
Bonnies, not great.
Stu, what do you think?
Does not seem great.
See what
Yeah.
do you see what we're kind of laying out there for maybe a national audience on what took place in Chicago? Maybe the credentials didn't quite add up to someone that should be running a team in the NBA. Sorry, Stu. We went off on a tangent.
Sorry, Stu. Stock watch. Buy. Buy.
No, I love
Buy
it.
is
I
the
love
answer.
it.
Buy is the short answer. Buy.
Woj.
All right, moving on to some football. Joe Flacco, he has re-signed with the Bengals on a 1-year deal. Are you buying or selling stock in the now 41-year-old quarterback, Abdalla?
Buy. I'm running to the window. Buy. I love Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is one of my favorite quarterbacks, a non-fair quarterback of all time. Because he plays so well when he comes in. He torched the Bears when he was playing for the Bengals this year. Because guess what? The Bengals haven't done anything to fix their offensive line. He's gonna play. Like, he's going to play. You saw what Joe Burrow was doing over the weekend with his dry rubber band of an ACL.
I still don't understand why NFL players were playing in the flag football games.
He's got dry rot ACLs, and his team won't fix his offensive line. They just let his best defensive lineman walk. Okay, and go to the rival team. Trey Hendrickson is going to kill Joe Burrow, and then that becomes Joe Flacco's job. I am buying Joe Flacco.
I'm going to buy, Stu, just because I think for a game or two, Flacco could still sling it. We saw it last year. And it's kind of fun to see Joe Flacco out there at 41. So I'll buy Joe Flacco as a spot starter backup for the Bengals. I'll buy that. Yes. What's next, Stu?
All right, I love it. Another quarterback that I guess is looking to win a job or at least start some games this year is Tua. Since you guys talked about him last segment for the Falcons, he spoke for the first time on Tuesday with the team, admitted that he needs to play better. So going forward, are you buying or selling stock on Tua in Kevin Stefanski's offense? What?
I'm going to sell because I don't think Tua will ever be a decent starter in the league again. I think he's a backup. And I don't think Tua's going to have the same progress long-term that we saw from Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. I don't think it's the same situation. I feel like Tua's built differently, not mentally, but just physically. And the amount of hits that he takes and the amount of times that he's hit his head against the turf, I just don't see Tua Tagovailoa ever being that quarterback where, maybe it is Atlanta. Like, I don't think the Baker Mayfield turnaround for his career is going to happen for Tua with the Falcons. I don't think we'll be sitting here a year from now being like, man, Tua's getting a new deal with the Falcons. He's their starter, and they're competing for the playoffs. I just don't see it, so I'm going to sell.
I'm going to buy it because it's cheap. And I'll take a flyer for a cheap $1.3 million because I'm not paying for it, essentially. The Dolphins are picking up the tab. The Falcons only paid $1.3 million for it. If it works out, it does. If not, whatever. Didn't cost me any money. So if he ends up being the starter for the Falcons for a year and then ends up signing a new deal somewhere else or with the Falcons, cool. And he gets that Baker Mayfield-like turnaround, like you said, or Sam Darnold-like turnaround, and Stefanski ends up being a Kevin O'Connell-like QB whisperer, then great. And if not, oh well. It's not an expensive stock. It's a penny stock right now. So I'm not worried about it.
I don't know if it's quite a penny stock.
It's $1.3 million. It's a veteran minimum for them. It's nothing.
Yeah, but he was a highly touted top-level quarterback.
But for the Falcons, it's nothing. Yeah, it's the Dolphins' problem.
It's a flyer. Yes.
Yeah, it's the Dolphins. So why I'll buy all the stock right now. It's nothing. It's a pink sheet. Come on. You've watched Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes.
Come on.
That's the only reason you know what a pink sheet is.
You know what happens if he sells $5,000 worth of them?
Because Stratton Oakmont.
You know what happens?
Try to.
You know what Spike Jones will do? You've seen the movie?
Yes.
Stu?
I love it. Speaking of Chicago, the Cubbies, they have signed outfielder Pete Crow Armstrong to a long-term extension after his 30-30 season. Are you buying or selling stock in PCA, Abdalla?
I'm buying this. This is a pretty team-friendly deal, I think, for the Cubs. I think that PCA is a really good defender. I think he played well in the World Baseball Classic. I think that he is a great teammate. He's great in the city here. He's very fan-friendly. I think it's the longest extension the Cubs have ever given out. I'm buying this. I think this is a good deal for the Cubs. It kind of shows that the Cubs have been investing more in this team this year, which is something they haven't done, and teams have fans have criticized this team for a while that they haven't really gone for it. And this kind of shows that they're investing in their younger players moving forward. I like this deal for PCA and for the Cubs because in 6 years and 5 years, if he's one of the best players in baseball, I don't know if he will be, but if he's a top 10 or 15 player in baseball, this is an extremely team-friendly deal. And if not, it's not that much money for the Cubs, honestly, the way salary cap, there's no salary cap, but the way like taxes and all that kind of stuff work out. I like it. I'm buying this deal.
Stu, 6 years, $115 million for Pete Crow Armstrong. I think it's definitely a buy who's only 24. And on the 6-year deal, that means he'll be a free agent when he turns 30. Here's the thing that I would throw out there for people to be aware with Pete Crow Armstrong in last season. He popped. Last season, in the first half of the year, he was an MVP candidate in the NL. He made the All-Star team. His slash numbers were 265, 302, and 544. He had 25 home runs and 27 stolen bases in the first half last season. And then the second half took place. The rest of the way, he only had 6 home runs, 8 steals, and his slash line dropped to 216, 262, and 372. So what I'm laying out here is Abdalla mentioned that this is a team-friendly deal. Absolutely. Because the potential is there for this to be a superstar. But last year's production is if the league figured him out and he is still chasing everything out of the strike zone to start this season, then I think the player that you got in the second half is more likely to be the guy that you get long-term than what you saw in the first half, who was an MVP candidate and a potential budding star in Major League Baseball. So I'm gonna buy because I hope he does figure it out, and he will be a good player, and eventually it will be a team-friendly deal, and he'll need a new contract when he turns 30, and he'll definitely cash in. The other side angle to look at this, Stu, is that everything in the city of Chicago, it all drains back towards the Chicago Bears. And this is important because this is Caleb Williams' running mate. The two have become besties, and they attend a lot of events together here in the city of Chicago. And to keep Caleb happy, you got to keep PCA in a Cubs uniform. So that's what's important
here. You think
here.
the Bears are footing the bill for this?
Yeah, it's just important.
Think the McCaskies are floating this bill for the Ricketts?
Let's be real with people living here in Chicago. All that matters is Bears football, and all that matters is Caleb Williams turning into a great quarterback. So if he is happy and healthy, and PCA is there to be his buddy, then it's good. Let's buy that stock.
That's great.
Stu?
All right, we talked the last 2 days about the debates surrounding Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson and just how good he is. We know that Dan Orlovsky is buying, but are you buying or selling stock in Simpson as an NFL quarterback? Bleck?
Yeah, I'm going to buy that he's an NFL quarterback. I am going to sell if the question is he a top 10 quarterback? Is he a quarterback that should go in the first round of this year's NFL draft? He's a quarterback. He is going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. I just think he's more of a second round, third round type of guy based on the talent and what we saw at Alabama. So I'm going to buy the stock because I do think Ty Simpson will be a good quarterback in the NFL. I just would not use a first round draft pick on him.
Okay, so yeah, this isn't an over 40-year-old movie reference, but I always imagine this segment where we're like, you and me are like Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, where we're just like, I'm waiting for the perfect time to buy stock in Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
And it's like the end of the movie where they're like waiting for the perfect time to buy. I'm not buying this in the first round.
Yeah.
I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And they're like, we need to do this. We need to do this. And then the second round comes around.
Boom, buy.
And I'm like, all right,
fire.
I'm the Steelers or I'm the Rams trading back and I'm doing something like that. And then I'm like, all right, buy. And everybody's like, buy, quarterbacks. Because that's when everybody else needs to get a quarterback now because Ty's gone. And that's when you see them buy Carson Beck and everybody else comes in.
Goes off the board.
Exactly. So I'm going to start the run of quarterbacks, but I'm waiting until the second round. I'm not going to do this in the first round unless I'm a team like the Rams trading back into the very end of the first round so I get that fifth-year option. I'm not doing this early in the first round. I'm only going to do this very late in the first round or sometime in the second round for Ty Simpson, and I'm having him sit for an entire year and learning under a coach that has a history of developing quarterbacks. I'm not taking him if I'm the Cardinals. I'm not taking him if I'm another team that doesn't have this history. It's got to be the Rams. It's got to be the Steelers. It's got to be even the Vikings or the 49ers or a team that has a history of coaches that know how to work with young quarterbacks.
There you go. There's Stock Watch with Stu. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, guys. That was fun.
Absolutely. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. Bleck Abdalla, and yeah, you're right. Like, if you're waiting to fire and to buy Ty Simpson, I think the only way he's a first-round pick this season is because a team gets desperate and they don't want someone to start the run on quarterbacks, and then they end up with Carson Beck.
Or Nussmeier, yeah.
Right? And that's not necessarily to throw shade at those two individuals. It's just they're not first-round quarterbacks.
And today is Ty Simpson's pro day. The Alabama pro day is going on right now, and this is his last chance. This is it. And he's got a chance to prove Dan Orlovsky right that He's
Okay.
a better pro.
Best of luck to him.
Good luck, buddy.
Well,
I like Tyson. I like Tyson.
I'm saying best of luck to Orlovsky.
Okay. I like Tyson. I would love him to sit for a year and turn out to be a great franchise quarterback for some team. I would love that. But I just don't think he's gonna start right away next year and be otherworldly.
What's the latest with Max Crosby? He's with the Raiders. The deal fell apart with the Ravens. And there was a team out there that almost traded for Max Crosby. It would have been a big deal if this team would have pulled off the move to make a trade for Max Crosby. We'll tell you who that team is coming up next.
Westwood One. We love sports. We love to laugh. We love hearing from you. Talking sports with you, not at you. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
There's a story up on ESPN.com recapping the Max Crosby situation with the Raiders and the Ravens and how the deal fell apart. A couple of notes to pull away from that is that sources with the Raiders have pointed to, and those who are close to Crosby as well, they're skeptical at the medical reasons that the Ravens gave to why they backed out of the deal. So that's one aspect of the story that's posted on ESPN.com. Also, the Dallas Cowboys were really close in pulling off the trade for Max Crosby. There's a couple of different situations and trades that were offered. The second first-round pick that they have, number 20, that they got back from the Packers last year from Micah Parsons, 2 first-round picks, a first-round pick and a player, first-round pick and a third. The Cowboys tried to get Crosby, which is interesting to know in hindsight because that was the team we kept pointing to that could get it done and that they should go after Max Crosby. And now we find out after the fact that they did try and land Max Crosby.
It doesn't mean that they're done trying to go after Max Crosby either. I think there's still a chance that they do. You know, Jerry Jones said, not to exact verbiage, but never say never. He said they're not interested right now, but they could be in the future. The draft is still just under a month away. I think that the Raiders, would want their draft picks to use right now as opposed to next season because the Cowboys, you assume if they get Max Crosby, would be a lot better. Those draft picks would be less useful. The feeling also from the Ravens and the reason that they backed out of it, the consensus was that Crosby would be able to play in 2026. The Ravens' concerns centered around the uncertainty of Crosby's durability after a couple of seasons in Baltimore because of a degenerative issue in his knee, a source told ESPN. So the Ravens are claiming that we knew he could play this year. We knew he could probably play next year.
Long term.
But if we're giving him, if he's signed long term and we're going to give him an extension or whatever it is, this is a degenerative knee issue, which, okay, you can, again, Crosby is claiming that his doctors and whatever, his team doesn't believe that. The Ravens can claim whatever they want to. He said, she said, whatever. This all still seems fishy from the jump.
It's a load of BS.
Yeah, it is.
Which NFL player 2 years down the road can you predict that they will be 100% healthy? Which NFL player? Give me the player. A bench warmer, someone who never plays?
Which NFL player doesn't have degenerative knees?
Someone who doesn't have a helmet? What? Like, I don't understand. 2 years, you're worried about 2 years down the road. Now, if you don't think, if that's what they want to go by, sure. That doesn't mean the rest of us have to buy that load of crap.
I don't believe it. I didn't believe it from the jump. And it's because you're right. Which player are you going to say didn't have this issue or isn't going to have a degenerative issue? Every player, the shelf life of an NFL player is insanely short. You don't know how this knee is going to react to any form of treatment. You don't know how this knee is going to react in a year or 2 years. You can say he's got degenerative issues in his knee, but you don't know how any of this is going to play out. Plus, if he's healthy for 2 or 3 years and you win a championship in 2 or 3 years, isn't that worth it? Yeah, isn't the trade worth it? If you win a championship in the next 2 years,
I would think so.
Next year, or the year after, the trade is worth it. The trade is absolutely worth it.
You can call or text the show at 310-840-4910. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We're talking about Max Crosby and the Cowboys, sponsored by Robinhood. You can expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Learn more and get started today with Robinhood at robinhood.com/yourmoney. So we'll keep our eyes on the Max Crosby situation as we head towards the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, about a month away. And also the big news today, North Carolina looking for a head coach after they fire Hubert Davis. So we'll talk about that coming up in about 10 minutes right here on Westwood One Sports. We had a story, Abdalla, that we brought to you the other day where we mentioned, these little delivery robots that are out there in various cities around the country. You said they're kind of cute. They've got little eyes, which are the headlights.
They blink.
On the front. They have little names.
Yeah.
Like each robot has a screen and
Thomas.
it says the name on it, and they've got a little flag, and the lights kind of light up. And so these robots, we had a story for you a couple days ago where there was a robot here in Chicago, a delivery robot, that ran into a bus station.
Yeah.
The glass panel that keeps you away from the weather when you're waiting for the bus. It ran into the glass, and the glass panel shattered everywhere. We mentioned this the other day on the show.
Yeah.
Here's an update to that story. Yesterday, a different robot, a little robot guy, ran into a different bus stop.
Oh, no.
Yesterday, and destroyed the glass paneling to the bus station.
Oh, no.
So here in Chicago, the robots are running into these glass panels on the street, on the sidewalk, where people wait for the bus.
They're running amok.
There's 2 this week.
They're running amok.
When I saw the second story yesterday, I had to do a double take to be like, wait, that's not the original story that we talked about 2 days ago?
The first one is an accident.
Yeah.
The second one is a little suspicious. Okay? I'll tell you what, Chris.
Wait, there's no one waiting for these buses. The little robots are just trying to drive right through the glass paneling.
You know what they're doing?
They're testing it out?
They're practicing. They're getting in at bats. I'll tell you what this is. As we are hours away from the start of the baseball season. This is spring training for these robots. As I've told you, as I've watched the documentary iRobot many a time.
It's not a documentary.
It is. Do you see what is happening with robots and AI?
Can you explain the plot of iRobot starring Will Smith for people?
iRobot is set in the future where there are a bunch of these cyborg robots, and Will Smith is the one human that is skeptical of these robots, and then eventually their eyes turn red, they develop, they're self-conscious, and they take over, and they start a war with the humans to destroy all the humans, and basically Will Smith was like, I told you, and then they have to defeat the robot army, and they do. Spoiler alert. I think they just dump water on them or something.
Okay.
Imagine these. We're broadcasting out of the city of Chicago, the NBC building right here. You see that building right across from us right there? You see how the entrance is all windows?
It's all glass paneling.
It's all glass panels.
Yeah.
What if I told you an army of these robots just decided to ram into those windows? What's stopping them? Nothing.
They're like little lunch boxes on the ground.
Yeah, but a bunch of them.
Just kick them over.
No. Have you tried? They're
What do you
heavy.
mean, no.
They're heavy.
Have you ever seen the things online where it's like, could you beat, 1,000 Kermit the Frogs?
Yeah,
and it's like the little graphic
you're
of
not
all the
beating
Kermit the
an
Frogs
Have you seen their lair?
trying to take you down.
Have you seen their lair?
Have you ever seen the question of like, can you beat like 1,000 chickens?
You're not beating 1,000 chickens, and you're not beating an army of these robots. I'll tell you that right now. This is their spring training.
Okay.
Just wait for their summer tour of death.
All right, I will keep our eyes on this developing situation here on Westwood One Sports. 2 in the last couple days break through the glass. All right. Who will coach North Carolina next? We'll talk about that here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app on Sirius XM Channel 375 and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla, broadcasting live from downtown Chicago. We're on the air today until 3 Eastern, and then we'll hand it off to Jim Rome right here on Westwood One Sports. If you want to join the show today, you can call or text us on our call or text line at 310-840-4910. Last night, North Carolina fired Hubert Davis after 5 seasons. Davis with the Tar Heels went 125-54, but in back-to-back seasons, North Carolina was eliminated in the round of 64. The Tar Heels took the weekend. The administration took the weekend to think it over. I mean, the game where North Carolina lost, that was, Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
So they took the weekend, they took a day, a couple days, and then they fire Hubert Davis yesterday. So North Carolina is now looking for a new head coach after going 24-9 last season and losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Hubert Davis is a good coach, but for UNC, they want someone to be in the conversation of winning championships each and every year. Not just every once in a while you get a number one seed. Every once in a while you win the ACC. They want to be in the conversation like Duke, their arch rival, who each and every year is in the conversation for a national title. And Duke successfully went from Coach K, I'm Duke, and handed it off to John Shire. And John Shire and what he's been able to accomplish at Duke has been impressive as they now try and fight for a national title in their game in the Sweet 16 against St. John's coming up this week. So with North Carolina in their coaching search and the availability on who's out there, who they could go after, essentially for Carolina, you got to go after the top dogs. Like I don't think you're looking at coaches who are guys coaching in the mid-majors or coaching at the low-level Power 5 teams to say, come take this North Carolina job. Mm-hmm. You're looking at coaches who have won championships in the past. You're looking at coaches who may coach in the NBA and the top-level guys, because North Carolina basketball should be the best job in all of college basketball.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them, absolutely. It's one of the top 5 jobs in college basketball. It's one of the top 5 jobs in college athletics. I think that, they want someone who's getting to Final Fours. And you mentioned the record. The record is great, but when you're North Carolina, Final Fours are what's important. And even if you're not cutting down nets, even if you're not getting to the national championship, you need to be in the conversation of getting to Final Fours. And when you're not doing that, and your first round exits are not acceptable. Because even if you have NIL money, even if you're recruiting, first round exits are absolutely unacceptable at Chapel Hill. So when you're doing that, it's completely understandable why they chose to move on from Hubert Davis. And now you start this coaching search. And like you said, it could be someone that's already with a big program. It could be someone like Dan Hurley, who's already at UConn, even though why would he leave? He's already won national championships. It could be, someone who's already at Michigan, Florida, whatever. Or you could go to someone who we mentioned him back on Monday when this was being kind of talked about, that why haven't North Carolina made the move already to fire Hubert Davis? And that's head coach of the Chicago Bulls. And that's Billy Donovan, who has had success in college and has been unsuccessful with the Chicago Bulls, and not because of anything he's done. Not because he's a bad NBA coach, not because he's not good at coaching up young players in the NBA, or because he's bad in the or he's been bad in the NBA. He's had success in the NBA, but it's because of how bad the Bulls organization is that he might want out, and North Carolina should do everything they can to go after Billy Donovan right now. And right now, he's the favorite to get the job in like prediction markets and odds and stuff like that.
You got the Poly market up there?
I do have the Poly market up there.
And that's who they have, is Billy Donovan?
He's the favorite at 3-1 right now, yeah.
Brad Stevens, his name was thrown out there. CBS has said that Stevens is not interested in leaving his job as running the Celtics to go to North Carolina. There's a lot of names out there. Abdalla just mentioned Billy Donovan. I think Dan Hurley is someone that I think he should stay at UConn, but I could see why jumping to North Carolina would make sense to me. That would be at a different level. It's a lower level example of this, but when Bill Self left Illinois to go to Kansas, that made sense. I thought Bill Self could stay at Illinois and win at a really high level at Illinois, but he left and went to Kansas, which is a much higher level of winning that you can accomplish with a school that is dead set on being the basketball school in the country. UConn has had a lot of success in the last 20 years in college basketball. More success as of late than North Carolina. But the prestige of North Carolina is bigger than what UConn has to offer. So I think Dan Hurley's interesting. Todd Golden is an interesting name. He just won a championship with Florida. Dusty May, Calvin Sampson, Tommy Lloyd, Nate Oates. There's a lot of names in college. And then Abdalla mentioned Billy Donovan. Here's my thought on NBA coaches and college basketball. I don't think any NBA coach should leave their job to take a college basketball job because the NBA lifestyle is a better lifestyle. The coaching job itself in the NBA is a better job than having to deal with recruiting kids in college, and then once you get them on campus, constantly telling them they're great and trying to keep them on your campus, or else they're going to jump in the portal. And I think that headache is definitely something that is a young man's game. Willing to put up with younger players who are wishy-washy on where they're committing to be at all times. And I don't think that that's necessarily trying to knock younger generational players, but I think it's just the reality is that because there are so many options for players with NIL and the transfer portal, is if a kid is benched, next thing you know, he might be in the portal. He doesn't want to work hard and try and beat someone else that's on the team for a position. They want to be gifted everything. And there are so many options and so many dollars out there in college athletics that you're allowed to do that. And I don't think NBA coaches who have been on the other side want to go back to dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, I don't think any NBA coach should consider a college job unless you're Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan is in a unique situation. The Chicago Bulls are currently not trying to win basketball games. You might say, okay, there's a lot of teams in the NBA right now trying to tank. Yeah, except the Bulls aren't really tanking. They tried this season, and they were not successful. And then when it was too late, they tried to pull the ripcord and act like they're tanking, even though they're going to end up as like the 11th or 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. They didn't do it enough. And it's been a theme for now 5+ years where the organization is not serious about winning at the highest level. They're just content and happy with people showing up to games and cheering on the mascot and being there for the introductions, because they still run the same intros that they ran when Jordan and Pippen and Rodman were there, and the Bulls are winning championships. So that's like a big deal to go see the Bulls starting lineup, the starting intro, even though it's a bunch of players you don't really care for. It's true.
Yeah.
That's the situation. And it's a trickle down from the top. The owners, the Reinsdorfs, are not serious about winning with the Chicago Bulls. Jerry runs the White Sox. His son runs the Bulls, Michael Reinsdorf, and he is not serious about winning at the highest level. And Arturas Karnisovas is the GM. He's been there for 5+ seasons. They've done absolutely nothing, and the team still sucks. And so if you're Billy Donovan, you want to win again, this is your out. Because, like you said, Abdalla, the losing is not his fault. The roster construction doesn't make any sense. The way that they put things together, the talent that they've given him is not good enough. I think Billy Donovan's a really good coach. Really good coach. I like him. If I were him, I would take this Carolina job if it's offered. Because it makes a lot of sense for Billy Donovan. And honestly, I don't see a way out for the Chicago Bulls to ever be successful again outside of landing the number 1 pick and landing a generational type player. It's not going to happen. They're not serious unless there was a new ownership group that comes in. They're not going to ever compete at a high level ever again. So if you're Billy Donovan, go somewhere else and try to win. And if you can get that North Carolina job, that to me would make a lot of sense.
I'll take it one step further. Just leave. Take any of these jobs. If Florida opens up, go home.
Well,
if Michigan opens up, go to Michigan.
I'm sure
if UConn opens up, go to UConn.
I'm sure Todd Golden goes to UNC. If he takes that job and Florida opens up, I guarantee you will hear stories about Billy Donovan maybe going back to Gainesville.
If Bill Self decides to retire, go to Kansas. This coaching cycle, because this job is open, many things are going to happen. Coaches are going to get paid, or one of these jobs is going to open. It's going to be a trickle-down effect. and either one or multiple of these jobs are going to be open. And Billy Donovan should consider just leaving and making himself available to the highest bidder, because he would be highly sought after, whether it's by North Carolina or if whoever decides to take the North Carolina job, as long as it's not like, I'm not saying, and look, Alabama's my team, but if Nate Oates goes to, like, I don't think he should go to Alabama. But if it's Florida, or like because he's coached there before and he's had he won back-to-back there, and if he goes to, he could go to Michigan, he could go to Kansas, he could go to UConn. Like, those places, those schools are big enough to where he could go and leave the Bulls and go. You can't tell me that Billy Donovan wants to keep losing like this, because I know it's more pressure to go back to college and try to win, and instant pressure to go to North Carolina or Kansas or Florida or Michigan or UConn and have to instantly be, because with NIL, you can't just build a program up. You got to flip it. And it wouldn't be even flipping. These programs are successful. You'd have to be an instant Final Four team. And I'm sure Billy Donovan would be able to do it, but the pressure would be on. He just has to be sick of the losing.
Jeff Goodman was on his podcast, Field of 68, talking about Billy Donovan as a potential candidate for North Carolina.
I think, again, Billy's a very loyal guy, very loyal. I've said this over and over. He's the coach I miss the most that has left college basketball, whether it's the guys who retire, whether it's the guys who left for the NBA, whoever. The Bulls stink. We know that. He's got a lucrative contract with the Bulls right now. Reinsdorf has been very loyal to him. I think in turn he will be loyal to Reinsdorf. But, however, there are a ton of people in Billy Donovan's circle right now that have told Billy Donovan, get the hell out of there. Get out of there. You can't win with what they've given you, with what Arturas Karnisovas has given you in terms of talent. So go to Carolina and have a chance to win the whole thing again and change your legacy a little bit from, again, being a coach in the NBA that for a long time just hasn't had enough to be able to win at a high level.
And that's Jeff Goodman on his podcast, Field of 68. And I think, I don't want to turn a North Carolina basketball conversation into a Bulls conversation, but the sad thing about it is that's true. Mm-hmm. The Bulls are not serious about winning whatsoever. They're not. They are absolutely content being mid, as the younger people would say. And that's what they are.
Yeah.
They have no appetite to do anything other than cash in on the success of the past. That's exactly what the Chicago Bulls are now. Mm-hmm. Great logo, great gear, and Michael Jordan used to play here. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what they offer. And the plan from the front office has been a disaster. They catch no heat from anyone nationally. They slip under the radar. No one talks about them because they don't do anything. But they are a team that should be in the Eastern Conference. When you see the Pistons and the Celtics and the Cavs popping up, trying to win, the Knicks are good. The Chicago Bulls should be in the mix with those teams. And they're not. And that's what's interesting is that people, as Goodman's pointing out, people around Billy Donovan are telling him, dude, get out of there. It's not going to happen in Chicago. And that's from two guys who live in the city. And I am a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. That's the truth. They don't try. It is. We talked about here on the show. The Chicago Bulls have a television situation where you have to subscribe to their TV package and you have to purchase the games directly through them. Mm-hmm. And it's a month-to-month purchase. I canceled mine a couple months ago. We talked about it here on the show. I canceled it live on the show.
I never bought it to begin with.
I know you didn't buy it, but I love watching the NBA and I love the Chicago Bulls, but I canceled mine a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. The moment I realized that, Matas Buzelis, he's going to be a nice young player. I don't think he's a superstar by any means yet. And the team's not actively trying to win. So why am I watching this? Why am I paying $20 a month for a team that's not actively trying to win?
Well, and they're not a team that's going to acquire a bunch of stars and flip this roster. This is another rebuild. You think Billy Donovan?
Wait, a rebuild? It's not a rebuild if you never built anything.
But my point is, this year they trade.
Don't you have to build something for it to be a rebuild?
But this is the year they traded away all of the guys that they were trying to build with.
Yeah, because they sucked.
But that's my point. He doesn't want to put up with this again. He doesn't want to start from scratch again. That's my point, is that they tried, they failed. Now they're tearing it down again and starting from scratch. He doesn't want to start from scratch again and be in charge of all these kids again. He wants to win. Go win in college.
And he can do it. And he's a great coach.
Yes.
Like, I think that's the thing that kind of gets lost in the Chicago Bulls stink conversation, is that Billy Donovan is actually a very good coach.
Yes, he is.
And they're lucky to have him. It's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You can call or text the show at 310-840-4910. Let's ask Josh Graham this question. In North Carolina, he's there in the Carolinas, and he covers college basketball. He'll also help us preview the Sweet 16. But does he think Billy Donovan would be a great fit for North Carolina? We'll talk about that with Josh coming up next. Every March, the tournament delivers the unexpected, but this year, DraftKings Sportsbook is leaning into the chaos with Mystery Reward.
When you're set to place your bet, just select your mystery token in the bet slip and use cash or DK dollars to lock it in. Opt in today at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code B&A. That's code B&A for Bleck and Abdalla to opt in and claim your mystery reward at DraftKings Sportsbook. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
78 HOPE NY or text HOPE NY Connecticut. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. One reward per customer. Rewards vary and expire at the end of the final college basketball game. Each tourney round when offered. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos for more details.
March Madness continues. The shot was blocked. Sweet 16 matchups start tomorrow. Grab the Westwood One Sports app and ride with us. Wait it up and in. All the way to the national championship game.
This for real. We for real.
From your home for the NCAA tournament. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Ow.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. I was told that this music was for Josh Graham. I don't know what that means, so I'm missing something. But Josh Graham is set to join us to talk a little college basketball here on Westwood One Sports. Josh hosts Westwood One Sports Night, 11 p to 3 a Eastern, right here on Westwood One Sports. And he's also our college basketball expert as we get set for the round. For someone to replace Hubert Davis. And both Adam and I point to Billy Donovan as being a guy that should consider joining the Tar Heels as a new head coach. And my I guess the way to start the conversation is I don't think any NBA coach should leave the NBA to take a head coaching job in college. But if there's ever a spot that would make sense, it would make sense for Billy Donovan to leave the Chicago Bulls and join North Carolina. What do you think of that?
First off, shout out to Laura, a callback to yesterday when you shamed me for asking, do flowers exist at night? And that is John Mulaney from the Sack Lunch Bunch a bit asking that question. Very, very important conversation that was happening on Bleck and Abdalla. And this is a very important conversation we're having as well. It's strange how the Billy Donovan stuff is being rolled out, but based on what I know, it does seem Billy Donovan is one of the 3 to 5 names that are at the very top of the list for North Carolina to consider. And what makes him fascinating is he won 2 national championships in college. And given how much the college game has been professionalized, there isn't as much of a deterrence, or at least perceived deterrence, that Billy Donovan's been out of the game for 10 years. He wouldn't be able to jump right back in and be successful, because there does seem to be this sense, if you do hire Billy Donovan, he'd be asking for carte blanche power, the way that Bill Belichick's been given that with the football program at Chapel Hill. And he'd get to hire his own GM. He'd get to hire whoever he wants to support him and surround him. And that seems a lot better than being in an organization that seems poised for another rebuild and currently isn't trying to win basketball games right now.
Josh, you also learned a valuable lesson: never tweet during this process. When you
I
said
did.
Hubert Davis would never be fired and should not be fired.
0% is, I think, what I said. 0% chance.
Yeah.
And then I said, I
0%.
repeat myself.
Yeah,
I repeat
0%.
myself.
That's okay.
0%.
We're keeping track.
Yeah,
Yes.
never tweet. It's okay. I've learned that too. Who, if it's not Billy Donovan, since you're there, who do you think is not? Who do you think it will be? But who do you think is the best fit for that school, since it seems like they're going to go, quote, outside of the family?
Tommy Lloyd is the best fit for North Carolina. And there's a very large swath of the Carolina family that has opinions on things. And the 2 names that have been most approved of by the portion of the Carolina family that I've spoken to, which is a handful of names, TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State and Tommy Lloyd are the 2 that I get the most. And Tommy Lloyd, you just look at checking a few boxes. John Shire is who you're going to be measured up against at Duke. John Shire has more wins than any D1 coach has ever won in his first 4 years as a head coach. Tommy Lloyd has the most wins a D1 coach has had in his first 5 years. He's in his 5th season at Arizona. John Shire, through 4 seasons at Duke, has lost exactly 3 home games. 3. 2 were to North Carolina. The 3rd was the Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. Caleb Love transferred from North Carolina to Arizona. And one of the big knocks on Caleb Love was that he wasn't a very efficient player in Chapel Hill. He became an efficient player under Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. And Tommy Lloyd's top assistant there for his first few years was Roy Williams' top assistant during his last 10 years in Chapel Hill, a man by the name of Steve Robinson. So there are some connections there. One of the knocks will be that he's been a West Coast guy his entire career, but at the same time, he apparently has had some issues with the administration at Arizona based on some reporting. It's not the same AD that hired him that's there right now. So if North Carolina were to come calling and Arizona were in the Final Four, this is what we call a callback, boys. We could have a situation where it's Tommy Lloyd losing in the championship game, being interviewed by the CBS reporter, being pressed whether or not he's going to take the North Carolina job, a lot like Roy Williams was in 2003, where he said, quote, well, I can't say the exact quote, I could give a bleep about North Carolina. So maybe that gets recreated.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Graham joining Bleck Abdalla, talking a little college basketball here on Westwood One Sports. Okay, so that's the North Carolina situation. Do you think Kansas is open this coaching cycle? Do you think Bill Self will eventually leave Kansas?
I think it depends how you define coaching cycle, because it seems obvious that Bill Self brought Jacques Vaughn in after he was an NBA head coach at multiple stops to be the next guy. But a lot of the reporting suggests that Kansas would like to do an open search if that were the case. So if you're Bill Self and you want to step away and you want to give it to Jacques Vaughn, how do you go about doing that? Well, I know. Follow the playbook of Dean Smith, Tony Bennett, and Bruce Pearl, and wait until October to step away. So that way they have no choice but to do exactly what you want to do. And at a minimum, the coach that you want would get an opportunity to earn the big job with one season, would get like a 1-season audition. That's what past history tells us. And if Bill Self truly believes that Jock Vaughn is the right guy to lead it into the future, that might be the play. So maybe the answer is yes, he might retire, but no, it won't be during this coaching carousel that already is crazy enough with North Carolina being open. And right down the road for North Carolina, it seems as if NC State in Raleigh is about to lose its coach after 1 year, with Will Wade apparently about to jump back to LSU. So things are getting weird already.
Let's get into the games that are going to start on Thursday here. Let's take the East bracket out of it, because the obvious answer is going to be either Duke or St. John's or Michigan State at UConn. Besides those two games, which game are you most intrigued by to watch and why?
Oh, I actually think the most intriguing game of this entire round is Arizona, Arkansas, because no coach is under more pressure to get to the Final Four than Tommy Lloyd is. Has the best team. Arizona hasn't been to the Final Four in 25 years. And Arizona's got the best player right now. In terms of the hottest player in college basketball at the moment, whose stock is flying up the quickest, it's Darius Acuff. And you also have John Calipari coaching the team. I think there are a ton of storylines there. But one other matchup I'd throw out as well is Houston facing Illinois. Keaton Wagler is going to be a top 10 pick of the draft. Kingston Flemings plays the same position. For Houston, it's the same deal. Having those two point guards go head-to-head, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better point guard matchup than that right there. And Illinois likes to score a ton. Houston likes to drag the game in the mud. We've talked about the state of college's product versus the state of the NBA. What makes college different is that you have variation of style, and I think you're going to have wide variance in that game there, and it makes it even more intriguing from a basketball perspective.
Josh Graham joining Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, talking a little college basketball. St. John's and Duke, the game will be at 7:10 Eastern on Friday evening in the East
Duke.
region. I'm Duke. I'm Coach K. John, move over. I'm going to coach this team. All right, now that we got that out of the way,
all right,
we feel better. St. John's, Duke, who wins this game, Josh?
I will say Duke. I don't feel great about it because you're giving – if you were to poll all the coaches in high major basketball and ask them who is the best coach in the sport, most of them would tell you Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino is your favorite college basketball coach's favorite college basketball coach. And you're giving that guy half a week, a full week to prepare for you. I'm interested what comes out of that. And Zuby Ejiofor is such a fantastic college player. Love watching that guy play. Ian Jackson has some history running up against the Duke Blue Devils. He's a North Carolina transfer. Bryce Hopkins is an experienced player from his time in Providence, been around for a while, fifth-year player. I think they could give Duke problems. I don't think it's realistic to expect Caleb Foster back in this game. I saw the John Ross report that said that there's a chance that he might be able to gut it out. I don't think that's realistic for this week. I think Duke figures out a way, but I don't feel great about it. I can't wait to watch Friday night at 7 o'clock, though.
The other game in that region is Michigan State and UConn. Tom Izzo hasn't made it to the Final Four since NIL was legal. And he doesn't like the transfer portal either. Legal. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
It's no longer the
he also,
under the table car dealership deal. Yeah.
He also doesn't really like the transfer portal. Does Michigan State and Tom Izzo get past UConn, and then do they get past whoever wins Duke and St. John's, and does he get to a Final Four?
The last time, since you're bringing up the last time he went to the Final Four, where was that regional at, the Sweet 16 that they had? Oh, it was in D.C., where they're at this week. In order to advance to that Final Four, who did they? Oh, they beat Duke in order to get there. Interesting. I think Michigan State's got a squad. I don't understand how they weren't able to pull off one of the bigger wins on their schedule. Like, you look at it and you're like, well, what is their biggest win? They had Michigan dead to rights. They had Duke dead to rights. Weren't able to finish it. I think this team's close, and I love Jeremy Fears at point guard. I love their high-low game when it's Cooper and Kohler working. I think Cohen Carr is a really bouncy, fun player. I just see more life in this basketball team than I do UConn. So even though UConn's a slight favorite, I think the wrong team's favored here. I think Michigan State wins this game, and I think they present a big problem for Duke and the Elite Eight as well.
Josh Graham with Bleck Abdalla for one more minute before we let him go here on Westwood One Sports. Josh, when we see the games in the Sweet 16 and then the Elite Eight round heading towards the Final Four, is there a team this weekend that will surprise us, that we should have our eyes on, that could get to the Final Four that maybe we weren't talking about at the start of the tournament?
It's weird how little Iowa State gets talked about. That's really bizarre. They have an All-American in Josh Jefferson that didn't play against Kentucky, and they still beat the brakes off of Kentucky. In fact, with the North Carolina search, you hear people saying, well, Tommy Lloyd this, Tommy Lloyd that. If Tommy Lloyd doesn't get to the Final Four and it's TJ Otzelberger getting there instead, imagine that conversation to flip on its head, because this team is a lot of fun and they have 3 or 4 players who are just outstanding on this roster. And I'll present one more really fun scenario for you guys to consider. So if Arizona beats Arkansas, the most fun potential Elite Eight matchup we could get this weekend would be if Texas upsets Purdue. So that way we get the knock on Sean Miller has always been he can't break through and get to the Final Four. Arizona hasn't been to the Final Four in 25 years. Having Sean Miller be all that stands in the way of Arizona getting to the Final Four, the idea of what would happen in the state of Arizona if they lose in an Elite Eight to Sean bleeping Miller of all people as an 11 seed, that is the juiciest possibility you could expect in the round of 8. But I think Iowa State's the team that we need to be talking more about because they deserve it.
Josh, because basically Cinderella's dead in the last 2 tournaments.
Come on. Come on.
No, it is.
Nebraska. Why is it Nebraska? Nebraska hasn't won a tournament game in high major ever. Here they are. That's Cinderella.
Are they a
4 seed?
That's what I'm asking you. Is the winner of Iowa Nebraska going to be America's team? Because Iowa took down number 1 seed Florida, and Nebraska has never won a tournament game until this year. Is the winner of that game going to be quote America's team for the next however many games they can survive?
I got a better question for you, Abdalla. Are your folks from the supposed best college fan base in America from Illinois going to show in Houston? Because the Houston fans are going to be there because that's their home games there. And the Farmers are going to be there. Did you see Oklahoma City? Nebraska and Iowa Farmers, shout out to the Farmers, are going to be all up in Houston. I just want to see how much orange. See, I got my Orioles orange because opening day is tomorrow and I'm pumped. But how much orange from the Illini, from Champaign, is going to be in the building? That's what I'm wondering from the supposed best fan base in college basketball.
Yeah, I know. I heard him say that too yesterday. I was like,
hey,
what?
Listen, there's
the
nothing.
hell are you talking
the corn's got nothing to do but grow right now. There's nothing to do to it.
All right. Hey, Josh, how about this? Next week, why don't we do this in person in Indy for the Final Four?
Baby.
We haven't met. See, when a lot of people, when they meet Armin Williams for the first time, they don't realize how tall he is. Like, how tall, just out of a guess, I won't tell you the answer until we meet face to face. How tall do you think I am?
Oh, I'm guessing you're like 6'1".
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've seen the videos. I think you're tall.
Yeah, I think you're tall too. I've seen
you're taller than both of us.
next to Armin. So
yeah.
I think you're 6-ish.
It's tougher for me. It's tougher for me to figure out with you guys because I've only seen you guys in the box together. I don't know.
Short,
I can't see. Yeah. Okay, we'll figure it out. Like we'll have to like appraise this. It's like kind of meeting on like one of the dating apps. Like does the actual like dating profile meet you in person?
I put 5'11", but I'm showing up 5'9". So.
Like back in the day, you show up to one of those.
Diego Pavia
you can
over here.
Immediately tell if the vibe is right or if the vibe is off, just based on seeing someone in person. So I guess we'll have to see.
Well, just know I swipe right. I swipe right on meeting you guys next week. Swipe right. Swipe right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Josh. We will see you in Indy. next
See
week.
you there.
There is Josh Graham. You can listen to him, Westwood One Sports Night, 11 p to 3 a right here on Westwood One Sports. And also, he's our college basketball expert. Next week for the Final Four, Bleck and Abdalla, we're taking the show on the road. We will be there for Thursday and Friday leading into the Final Four weekend. So we will be there in Indianapolis broadcasting live, and Josh Graham will be with us. He will be in Indy. He will be broadcasting as well, live from Indianapolis. He will cover the Final Four games. He will cover the championship game on Monday. So we will have full coverage right here on Westwood One Sports next week, covering the Final Four. And we're looking forward to it, and it should be a great time. It'll be fun to meet Josh for the first time in person. And now I'm intimidated because I'm guessing he's very tall.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
You don't
throw
very
that
tall
out there
man.
unless you're gonna. Yeah.
How tall are you, shrimps?
How tall are you guys, huh?
You
Huh?
shrimp-like individuals.
How tall are you guys, huh?
Bleck Abdalla, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. You got to hear about this. Ben Rice, first baseman for the Yankees. The endorsement deal that he just landed. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Tournament tension is at an all-time high. And we've got your front row seat. Stream all of March Madness on the Westwood One app.
It's up, it's down.
From your home of the NCAA tournament, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Jim Rome takes over here on Westwood One Sports in about 12 minutes. You can check out the Bleck and Abdalla podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Odyssey. And also, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bleck and Abdalla Show. New content posted daily, and also our live stream is right there on our YouTube channel, Bleck and Abdalla Show, each and every day right here on Westwood One Sports. Thank you to Stu and Laura for producing today's show, and Jim Rome is coming up next right here on Westwood One Sports. Yankees first baseman Ben Rice has a new endorsement with Ben's Original Rice.
Oh,
which makes a lot of sense.
that's perfect.
It makes perfect sense.
Ben Rice.
Yes.
Ben's Original Rice.
And quite honestly, the little bags of rice that you just pop in the microwave are fantastic. I love it. It's
And
easy.
I like it, yeah. They're actually doing like a charity thing along with it too, so it's actually benefiting something real, but that's perfect. Can you think of any other players that would do like that would have like a good sponsorship?
No, I don't have other players. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Who?
Bartolo Colon. Colonoscopies.
I thought you were going to say a cologne.
No. I think he could get the word out.
Yes, okay. All right.
Hi, I'm Bartolo Colon.
Is he still playing?
No, but this was a missed opportunity, I think.
Of course. Yes,
Get your
it was.
colonoscopy.
Yes.
If you're over, what is it, 45, I
Yes.
think?
It is. You're right.
Bartolo
you're right.
Colon.
It is a missed opportunity. Absolutely. You are 100% right on that. Congratulations.
Bartolo
Yes. Bartolo Colon.
I didn't even think of cologne. I first thought of colonoscopy.
The MLB season starts tonight.
Thank God.
Opening night. It'll be on Netflix, 8:05 Eastern. Yankees at Giants to kick off the season. The Yankees last year were 94-68. They lost in the ALDS to the Blue Jays in a 7-game series, and the Giants went 81-81. It feels like the Giants have been 500 for like the last couple of seasons. But yeah, tonight Netflix for the opening game in Major League Baseball, and tomorrow is opening day. So every team around Major League Baseball will play tomorrow. Here's the one thing that I saw that as you gear up for the baseball season, do you realize how many different subscriptions you need to watch baseball? This is an article that I saw in The Athletic today talking about the Yankees because the Yankees play tonight and the game will be featured on Netflix. Here are the different streaming services that the Yankees will play on and be featured on this season. Now, some of these can change because as the season goes, they designate more games for national TV. But this is what it's set for the Yankees right now. The Yes Network will carry 125 games.
Okay.
Prime Video will have 21 games. NBC and Peacock will have 3. ESPN has 1. ABC has 1. Fox has 6. FS1 has 2. TBS has 4. Apple TV has 1. And Netflix has 1. So you need 10 different streaming services to watch the Yankees this season, which is 5 packages you have to purchase into to watch baseball for this year, 2026.
Is that actually less than last year? Because last year, didn't they have like Tubi games or something like that? Or
I don't.
Like,
maybe.
I feel like last year there were more. And they actually streamlined it this year to take away. They're like, we're actually going to do less.
10 different things.
There were 11 last year. That's insane. That's crazy.
Insane.
And that's and, you know, we talked about how baseball is in a great place and viewership is up and everything like that. But that's crazy that you have to have 10 different services to watch every single Yankees game. And it's not just true for the Yankees. That's almost every team around baseball.
Okay, it's Bleck Abdalla. Before we hand it off to Jim Rome here on Westwood One Sports, I want to play this piece of audio because it was fantastic to see online yesterday. Are you aware of what QVC is?
Yeah, the home shopping network from back in the day.
Yeah, and if to relate it to young people, it's like anything you see on Twitch or on TikTok where someone is streaming and getting you to buy a product. That's essentially what the home shopping network used to be on television back in the day. Yeah, it's still on.
Okay.
Take a listen to this clip. 2 ladies are showcasing sweaters, and they're talking about tassels on a sweater. Take a listen to the caller.
I wanted to tell you that I got that peasant blouse with the tassels.
Yes.
And I used to wear the tassels on my pasties. Do you know what pasties are?
Okay.
Do you know what pasties are?
Yes. I'm going to do.
Okay, well, I had tassels on my pasties.
Marianne, I just want to say this. You are my emotional support diva. Okay, you have just made my whole entire day. Mary's walked off. She's dead on the couch.
I'm having therapy with Marianne right now.
Marianne is my sister from another mister.
I have never, Marianne, you made my year.
That's
so they take calls on the home shopping network.
Tell us about the product.
And they tell you about the product and you buy the product. And she called in and she wanted them to know that the tassels look like the tassels that she used to wear on her pasties.
Oh my God. That's live. That is live TV at its finest. One of the only places you get live TV.
Oh, yeah.
These days.
How great was that?
I can't believe that network is still on the air.
Yeah.
How is that a thing?
It's incredible. And you know, like I was saying, like that used to be on cable television, but you know, pretty much that exists now on TikTok and on Twitch and YouTube Live, and like that's how people can sell products like that. But they used to have them on my
tassels,
on my pasties,
my pasties. I don't know what she was doing. That diva was doing.
I know.
Back in the day.
Well, and she was showing it and throwing it,
putting on a show.
Yes,
for people. And now she can relive that with her sweater.
I saw that audio yesterday, and I was like, "This is amazing. We gotta play this." And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, "Where's QVC?" And it still exists, which is wild.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Jim Rome and the Jim Rome Show is coming up next here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.